Change Mr. Hayes to Professor Hall to align with the guidelines for the University Placement Officer character, distinguishing him from the part supplier. Narrative alignment. The English text initially included a birthday party scene that was not present in the provided Chinese source text. Has been adjusted to end exactly where the Chinese source ends, with Ethan repairing the computer and anticipating giving it to Grace to ensure accuracy. Source text verification. The woodpecker joke and milk mustache scenes were verified against the provided Chinese text, which appeared in the unnumbered block following, and retained. The evening sky was bruised with purple as Wayne Tank Turner pedaled hard, giving Ethan Ford a lift home on his bike. As they passed a small electronics store near the commercial district, Ethan tapped Tank's shoulder. Hold up, Tank. Stop here. What's uppy, man? I'm buying a phone. Can't survive without one these days. Ethan hopped off the back pegs. Wait here, I'll be quick. The shop was cramped, the glass counters cluttered with pagers, chunky landlines, and the latest cell phones. There was also a section for trade-ins. Ethan went straight for the prize, a second-hand Nokia 3310. Brand new, these bricks went for about $150. The shop owner, a guy with grease under his fingernails, opened the bidding on the used one at $80. Ethan leaned in, turning on the charm and the hard logic of a seasoned haggler. After 5 minutes of back and forth, he walked the guy down to $60. He threw in another $20 for a prepaid SIM card with a decent block of minutes. $80 total. Ethan fiddled with the gray device, feeling the satisfying weight of it. The 3310 was the king of the hill right now. Indestructible, reliable, capable of SMS, and crucially, it had Snake. Finally, I'm connected. Ethan stepped out, flashing the device at Tank. Feast your eyes, Tank. We are now mobile. No way. Let me see. Tank grabbed it, treating the plastic brick like it was made of gold. Man, I've seen these in ads, but never held one. Ethan showed him how to text and navigate the menu. Tank looked at him with pure hero worship. Don't drool on it. Ethan laughed, clapping him on the back. Stick with me. Once we start raking it in, I'll get you one too. For real? E-man, I love you, bro. Tank shouted, causing a passerby to stare. Easy, Tiger. I don't swing that way. It's getting dark, let's roll. It was past 7 when Ethan walked through his front door. The smell of meatloaf and savory gravy hit him instantly. Smells amazing, Mom. What's the occasion? Ethan called out, kicking off his shoes. Mary Ford walked out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Look who finally decided to come home. You've been running around all day while Grace has been here helping me with the chores. Go wash up. Dinner's ready. Ethan looked over to the living room. Grace Miller was sitting on the sofa, watching TV with the posture of an angel, though he knew better. She turned to look at him. Where did you and Tank go, Ethan? She asked, her tone carrying a hint of accusation. Didn't think to invite me? Ethan walked over, lowering his voice. Relax. We were just fixing some computers. Why? Did you miss me after only one day? Grace's cheeks flushed pink. In your dreams. Only an idiot would miss you. She huffed, turning her nose up. Ethan, after you stuff your face, come with me. I have something for you. Ethan paused. For me. You'll see after dinner, she said mysteriously. Ethan scratched his head. What was she plotting? Was this a prank? He'd have to keep his guard up. He washed his hands and sat at the table just as his father, Frank Ford, walked in, looking exhausted. Dad, late shift? Ethan asked. Union meeting, Frank sighed, sinking into his chair. The guys at the mill are organizing a committee to go downtown and demand answers about benefits. I had to stay for the vote. He shook his head. Tri-State Steel is a mess. I heard George Miller got sent to Pittsburgh to talk about a merger with U.S. Steel. The guys aren't happy. Ethan nodded silently. He knew the history. Tri-State Steel wouldn't survive the next year. It was just one of thousands of factories in a rust belt about to go under or be swallowed up. The great layoff wave was coming. It'll be okay, Dad. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, Ethan said reassuringly. No shop talk at the table, Mary chided, bringing out a serving bowl. Eat. Dinner was a feast, meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans with bacon, and a clam chowder that was surprisingly good. Ethan knew Grace's presence had inspired the upgraded menu. After dinner, Grace and Ethan went downstairs to walk it off. The residential compound was quiet, the amber streetlights casting long shadows. Okay, Grace said, stopping him and covering his eyes with her hands. Don't open them. Why? You trying to jump me? Ethan teased. In your dreams, pervert. Grace sputtered. I told you I have a surprise. Keep them closed. She removed her hands. Ethan cracked one eye open. Grace was standing right at him. Uh-huh. You peeked. You are so untrustworthy. I didn't see anything, I swear. Turn around. Face the wall. Don't move. She grabbed his hand, Her skin was soft, warm, and spun him around. Ethan squeezed her hand for a second before she pulled away. "Hey, let go," she whispered, though she didn't sound truly angry. "Ready yet? Hold on." He heard her footsteps recede, then the clicking of a bicycle chain. A moment later, she returned. "Okay, turn around." Ethan turned. Grace was standing there, beaming, holding the handlebars of a brand-new, metallic blue Schwinn mountain bike. She'd spent 2 years of her save allowance on it. Almost $130. Ethan's old bike was a rust bucket that threw its chain every other mile. She wanted him to have something reliable. "This is for me?" Ethan asked, staring at the bike. "Yeah. Do you like it?" Ethan felt a pang of conflicting emotions. He just bought a phone and was planning to buy a car soon. And here she was, spending her life savings on a bike for him, so he wouldn't have to walk. It's amazing," Ethan said, forcing a bright smile. "Grace, this is incredible." "You don't look excited," she said, her smile faltering. "If you don't like it, I can return it." "No. Are you kidding? I love it. It's a Schwinn." Ethan grabbed the handlebars. "Man, this must have cost a fortune." "Every penny I had," she admitted proudly. "I'm touched. Seriously. Come here." He pulled her into a hug. "Ethan, you're squishing me. I need a shoulder to cry on. I'm so happy." He buried his face in her hair. She smelled like vanilla and rain. Okay, get off." She pushed him back, then hooked her arm around his neck in a headlock. "Don't think a hug gets you out of being a jerk." "Ow, Uncle. Ethan tapped her arm. "The guillotine. Illegal move. You deserve it." They broke apart, laughing. Just then, Mary walked out of the building carrying a trash bag. She froze. Ethan and Grace froze. To Mary, it looked like they were entangled in a very intimate embrace. "Mom, we were just wrestling," Ethan said quickly. Grace immediately let go and smoothed her shirt. "Hi, Mrs. Ford. Just helping with the trash." She grabbed the bag from Mary's hand and sprinted toward the dumpster. Mary gave Ethan a look. "Son, are you bullying Grace again?" "No, she had me in a headlock." "Be nice to her," Mary warned, heading back inside. Grace jogged back. "Did she buy it?" "She thinks I'm a bully." "Thanks for that." Grace giggled. "Come on, let's test drive this thing. I'll ride on the pegs." "Where to?" "The downtown strip. I want a milkshake." "Hop on." The downtown strip. A few blocks near the river where the old brick warehouses had been converted into shops and eateries, was the go-to spot for everyone from the steel mill. It had diners, bars, street vendors, and neon lights. Ethan parked the new bike at the edge of the strip. "Seems a bit quiet tonight," Grace noted. The sidewalks were usually shoulder to shoulder on a Saturday, but tonight the crowd was thin. The looming layoffs at the mill were making people tighten their belts. "What do you want to check out?" Ethan asked. "Let's look at clothes," Grace suggested. "Or maybe—" "I'm buying," Ethan said. They wandered through the stalls. Grace, despite her tomboyish energy, loved to shop. She stopped at a booth selling accessories and clothes. Her eyes landed on a display of bras. "Looking for something specific, honey?" The older woman running the booth asked with a wink. "Lace? Cotton? Just looking." Grace mumbled, face heating up. "Ask your boyfriend," the woman chuckled. "He's the one who has to look at it, right?" Grace turned beet red. He's not my boyfriend." "Could have fooled me," the woman laughed. "You two make a cute couple." Grace picked out 2 beige ones with lace trim. "How much?" $15 each. $30. Grace bit her lip. "Maybe next time." Ethan stepped in. "We'll take them." He slapped the cash on the table. "Ethan, my treat. Consider it a thank you for the bike." The woman bagged them up, grinning. "He's a keeper, sweetie." They walked away, Grace holding the bag like it contained contraband. "You didn't have to do that. You need support. I provide support." Ethan deadpanned. Grace pinched his arm hard. "Shut up." Next, they hit the food stands. They grabbed corn dogs and wandered down to Old Lynn's Diner, a walk-up window famous for its dessert shakes and sweets. They grabbed a plastic table on the patio. "What do you want?" "Ginger vanilla shake," Grace said. "I'll get the coconut sago." "And don't steal mine," Ethan warned. "I won't." 2 shakes and an order of fries. Ethan ordered from Mr. Lynn. "Coming right up." "Mr. Lynn leaned out the window. "Ethan, Grace, haven't seen you two in a while. Studying hard." "SATs are coming up," Grace said. Good. Don't spend all your time making eyes at each other," Lynn teased. "We aren't," Grace protested, but Lynn was already back at the blender. "Why does everyone think we're dating?" Grace grumbled, stabbing a fry. "Because I'm irresistible," Ethan smirked. "And you're here. You wish." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, just people watching. Grace finished half her shake, then eyed Ethan's coconut drink. "Is yours good?" "Don't even think about it. Just one sip." "Fine. 1 sip." Grace grabbed his cup and took a massive gulp, draining half of it. Hey, Ethan snatched it back. Oops, she burped. It was good. Ethan shook his head, then reached over with his spoon and scooped a huge chunk of her ginger vanilla ice cream. Hey, that's mine. Thanks, Ethan said, eating it. I hate you. You love me. I'm going to bite you. You're a dog in a human suit. And you're a pig. That makes you a cabbage. Pigs eat cabbage. D. As they bickered, a small girl in a floral dress approached them, carrying a basket of red roses. Flowers? Flowers for the pretty lady. The girl looked up at them with big eyes. No thanks, sweetie, Grace said softly. The girl turned to Ethan. Mister, buy a flower for your girlfriend? $5. Grace rolled her eyes. Kid, you're barking up the wrong tree. Ethan looked at the girl. It was late for a kid to be out working. How much for the whole basket? The girl paused. For all of them? I have 15. Here's $20. Keep the change. Ethan handed her the bill. Wow, thanks, mister. She shoved the bundle of roses into his arms. Have a happy marriage. She skipped away. Marriage? Grace facepalmed. These kids. Wait, what are you doing with all those? For you, Ethan said, holding out the bouquet. Grace froze, staring at the red blooms. For me, Grace pointed at herself. Well, I don't look good holding roses, Ethan smiled. Take them. Grace took the bundle, her face softening into a genuine smile. Okay, I'll accept them. Reluctantly, she smelled them. They're nice. Do whatever you want with them. I'm going to keep them alive forever, she declared. They rode back to the compound. As they locked up the bikes, Tank walked out of the shadows. Whoa, E-Man. Grace. Roses? Tank wiggled his eyebrows. Finally made a move, huh? Grace blushed furiously. Shut up, Tank. They were on sale. She turned and ran up the stairs. I have to put these in water. Tank nudged Ethan. On sale. Kid was selling them. Felt bad. Ethan shrugged. Sure. Tank gave him a thumbs up. Grace rushed into her apartment, found a vase, filled it with water, and arranged the roses. She sat at the dining table, staring at them. She'd received flowers from boys at school before, but these felt different. The next morning, 8:00 a.m., Ethan and Tank rode their bikes to the commercial alleyway behind 8th Street. From a distance, Ethan saw Henry Payne and his little sister, Hannah, sitting on the curb outside the shuttered shop unit. Ethan pulled up. Henry, you're early. Henry stood up quickly, dusting off his worn pants. Morning, Mr. Ford. Just want to be ready. How long have you been here? Since 6. Ethan sighed. Have you eaten? We still had some of the snacks you gave us. Ethan shook his head. Snacks aren't breakfast. He pulled a $10 bill from his pocket. Go to the deli on the corner. Get bagels, cream cheese, coffee, and milk for Hannah. And get enough for me and Tang, too. Henry hesitated, looking at the money. Go. It's an order, Ethan said gently. Yes, sir. Henry grabbed the money and sprinted off. Ethan unlocked the shop. It was a concrete shell. He had drawn up plans the night before. He wanted a modern, open-concept layout, something that would blow the competition out of the water. Tank, here's a list. Go to the rental center. We need a hammer drill, a chalk line, and a level. On it, boss. 20 minutes later, the 4 of them sat on the floor, devouring bagels. Henry ate like he hadn't seen food in a week, and little Hannah had a mustache of cream cheese. Slow down, Ethan said, handing Hannah a napkin. There's plenty. When the food was gone, Henry looked at Ethan with intense gratitude. Mr. Ford, I've never been this full. Stick with me, and you'll never be hungry again, Ethan said. We're going to fix this place up. I'm renting portable cots for you two to sleep in the back room until we get the renovation done. Then I'll help you find a real apartment. Henry's eyes welled up. I'll do anything. Just tell me what to do. Today, I'm teaching you how to chase walls. We need to run new electrical. It's dusty work. I don't care about dust. Ethan spent the morning teaching Henry how to mark the walls with the chalk line and use the hammer drill to carve out channels for the conduit. It was hard labor, but Henry attacked it with a ferocity that scared Ethan a little. The kid was desperate to prove his worth. Good job, Henry, Ethan said, inspecting a straight channel. You're a natural. Henry beamed. It was the first time in years anyone had praised him. Remember, Ethan said, wiping sweat from his forehead. Quality over speed. You're doing the electrical for the whole shop. If you rush it, the place burns down. Got it? Yes, sir. I won't let you down. Work hours are 8 to 12, then 3 to 5. Don't annoy the neighbors during nap time. By 5 p.m., they had made serious progress. Ethan checked his watch. He had cleaned up, changed his shirt, and was ready for his dinner meeting. Tank, let's go. We're meeting Sal. They headed to Sal's computer repair shop, then took a cab to the Golden Steer, a high-end steakhouse downtown. Sal Higgins was waiting for them outside, looking uncomfortable in a cheap suit. Ethan, my boy. Sal slapped his shoulder. Big night. I invited Professor Hall from the University Placement Office. He's bringing a star student. We're going to talk expansion. Ethan knew the game. Sal wanted Ethan to train cheap labor from the university so Sal could expand his business without actually paying Ethan what he was worth. Let's eat, Ethan said. So, we're really doing this? Tank whispered as they walked into the restaurant, eyeing the Mercedes and Cadillacs parked out front. Just follow my lead, Ethan said. Don't be intimidated. It's just dinner. They were led to a private booth. Sal ordered a round of appetizers. A few minutes later, the door opened. A portly man with a comb-over walked in, followed by a smug-looking young man in a varsity jacket. Professor Hall. Sal jumped up. So glad you could make it. Sal, good to see you. Professor Hall shook his hand, then turned his eyes to Ethan. And this must be the prodigy you told me about. Ethan Ford, Ethan said, extending a hand. His grip was firm, his eye contact steady. Professor Hall raised an eyebrow. He expected a shy nerd, not this confident young man. Pleasure. I'm Professor Hall, and this is Luke Barnes, one of my top computer science students at the university. Luke gave a limp handshake and a sneer. Hey, nice to meet you, Luke, Ethan said. I hear the CS program at the university is top tier. It is, Luke said, looking down his nose. Hard to get into. Where do you go? Community college. High school, actually. Oak Creek High. Senior year. Luke scoffed audibly. High school? Sal, I thought you said he was an expert. Professor Hall frowned slightly at Luke's rudeness, but didn't correct him. Sal jumped in. He is. Ethan is a wizard with hardware. They sat down. A waiter appeared. Wine list? Professor Hall asked. Sal looked panicked. He knew nothing about wine. Bring us. The house read. Ethan picked up the wine list the waiter had left. Actually, Ethan said smoothly, if I may, the 96 Cabernet for Napa on page 3 is excellent. Heavy tannins, notes of dark cherry. It pairs well with the ribeye Professor Hall is eyeing. The table went silent. Professor Hall looked at Ethan with new respect. You know wine? My father enjoys a glass on Sundays. Ethan lied smoothly. I've picked up a thing or two. I'll have a bottle of that, Professor Hall told the waiter. Excellent choice. As the wine was poured, Sal signaling the waiter to pour a glass for Ethan. Despite his age, this was a private room, and Sal didn't care about laws when money was involved. Professor Hall engaged Ethan. So, Ethan, Sal tells me you're fixing motherboards that the manufacturers say are trash. It's just logic, Ethan said, swirling his glass but not drinking. Trace the voltage. Most people give up at the first dead capacitor. Luke, feeling ignored, interrupted. It's just hardware hacking. The real future is software. I agree, Ethan said. That's why I'm focusing on C++ and Java. Specifically, the new JDK1. 2 libraries. The swing components are going to change UI development. Luke's jaw dropped. You know Java? I dabble. Professor Hall laughed, delighted. Sal, you found a diamond. A high schooler discussing JDK libraries? Incredible. Luke sank into his chair, defeated. Sal beamed. See? I told you. Now, Professor Hall, about that partnership. Ethan watched them. He knew exactly what Sal was doing. He was the bait. Sal wanted the university to funnel students to his shop for internships, where Ethan would train them for free and Sal would pocket the repair fees. Ethan, Sal said, leaning in, Professor Hall can send us 10 students next month. You teach them your repair tricks. We open 3 new locations. You'll be the chief technical officer. And the pay? Ethan asked. We split the profits. After expenses, of course, Sal said quickly. Ethan smiled. It's a generous offer, Sal, but I have SATs coming up and college applications. I just don't have the time to run a training academy. Sal's face fell. Ethan, don't be hasty. College can wait. This is a gold mine. Education comes first, Ethan said, channeling every responsible adult ever. Right, Professor Hall? Professor Hall nodded sagely. The boy is right, Sal. Can't skip college. He looked at Ethan. You have a bright future, son. Don't let Sal here corrupt you. The dinner ended with Sal looking frustrated and Professor Hall looking impressed. As they left, Professor Hall handed Ethan his card. Call me when you graduate. I might have some scholarship opportunities for you. Thank you, sir. Outside, Sal didn't even offer them a ride. He stormed off to his car. Ethan and Tank hailed a cab. That was intense, Tank said. Sal looked like he wanted to kill you. He realized he can't use me. Ethan said. Tank, never trust a guy like Sal. If I trained those students, he'd fire me the second they learn how to hold a soldering iron. Damn, cold world. Yeah, that's why we're building our own empire. They got back to the residential compound around 10. Ethan realized he reeked of secondhand smoke from the restaurant and the few sips of wine he'd had to maintain the charade. I can't go home like this, Ethan said, sniffing his shirt. Mom will kill me. Dad will bury the body. Sleep at my place? Tank offered. Your dad is home. He hates me. Ethan looked up at the apartment building. Grace's parents were out of town for the weekend. I'm going to Grace's, Ethan decided. Good luck, bro, Tank waved, riding off. Ethan felt the alcohol hitting him now. The adrenaline of the dinner was fading, leaving him dizzy. He climbed the stairs and knocked softly on Grace's door. Who is it? Grace's voice was muffled. It's me, Ethan. The door cracked open. Grace stood there in a long t-shirt, hair messy, rubbing sleep from her eyes. The hallway light caught the curve of her neck, and for a second, Ethan forgot how to breathe. Ethan, you smell like. Did you fall into a brewery? She wrinkled her nose. And cigarettes? Let me in, Ethan whispered, pushing past her. My mom's home. I can't go down there. He collapsed onto her sofa. You are unbelievable, Grace scolded, closing the door. You went out drinking? You're a high school student, Ethan. If your dad finds out. Sal, business meeting. Ethan mumbled, his eyes closing. Professor Hall. Wine. You're drunk. Grace sighed, hands on her hips. I should kick you out. Please don't. She looked at him. He looked defenseless, slumped on her floral cushions. Fine, but you owe me. She went to the bathroom and came back with a wet washcloth. She sat next to him. Hold still. She wiped his face. The cool water felt amazing. Ethan opened his eyes. Grace's face was inches from his. She looked concerned. Thanks, Grace. Shut up. You reek. She started unbuttoning his shirt. I'm not letting you ruin my sofa with that smoke smell. Take it off. Ethan smirked lazily. Taking advantage of me? Grace turned bright red. In your dreams. I just don't want the smell to set into the fabric. She helped him peel off the dress shirt. His skin was warm. Grace tried not to look at his chest, tried to ignore the fact that Ethan had filled out over the summer. Her heart did a traitorous little flip. Here. She threw a blanket over him. Sleep. If you throw up, you're cleaning it. Ethan drifted off. Sometime later, he woke up thirsty. His throat felt like sandpaper. Water. Grace, who had been reading in a chair nearby, sighed. She went to the kitchen and brought back a glass. She lifted his head, letting him sip. He drank greedily. Slow down, she whispered. As she lowered his head back to the cushion, Ethan's hand shot out, grabbing her wrist. Grace. What? She leaned in. Do you need a bucket? Don't go, he mumbled, his eyes half open, looking straight into hers. Stay. I'm right here. Ethan pulled. Caught off guard, Grace tumbled forward. Her face landed inches from his. Ethan. He didn't answer. He just looked at her with an intensity that made her toes curl. Then instinct or alcohol took over. He lifted his head and pressed his lips to hers. Grace froze. Her eyes went wide. It wasn't a movie kiss. It tasted like toothpaste and wine. But it was electric. Ethan pulled back, his head dropping onto the pillow, and he was asleep again instantly. Grace scrambled back, touching her lips. Her heart was hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. You jerk, she whispered, staring at his sleeping face. You steal my first kiss and then pass out. She grabbed a pillow and hit him in the face with it. He didn't move. Ugh. She stormed into her bedroom, slamming the door. She buried her face in her stuffed pig. He kissed me, and he won't even remember it. Grace barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt his lips. Around 3 a.m., she heard stumbling in the hallway. The bathroom door opened and closed. Then silence. She drifted off eventually. The morning sun hit her face like a laser. Grace groaned, rolling over. Her arm hit something warm, something solid. She opened her eyes. Ethan was sleeping next to her. In her bed. Grace screamed. Ethan jolted awake, flailing. What? Who's dying? He looked around. Pink walls. Stuffed animals. Grace staring at him with murder in her eyes. Why are you in my bed? Grace shrieked, kicking him. Thud. Ethan hit the floor. Ow. Grace, what the hell? Get out. Pervert. Wait. Ethan held up his hands. I woke up to pee. I must have walked into the wrong room. It was dark. Grace pulled the duvet up to her chin. Did we? No. I kept my pants on. Ethan checked. Mostly. Oh my God. Grace put her head in her hands. Just then, a knock at the front door. Grace? Are you up? It was Mary Ford, Ethan's mom. Ethan's eyes went wide. My mom. If she finds you here. Grace whispered, panic rising. Hide me. Where? Under the bed. Grace. Mary knocked again. Open up. I need to borrow some sugar. Grace jumped out of bed, smoothed her hair, and cracked the bedroom door, shouting toward the front. Coming, Mrs. Ford. I'm just changing. She shoved Ethan toward the closet. Get in. I'm not going in the closet. Get in. She slammed the closet door on him and ran to the front door. Hi, Mrs. Ford, Grace said, breathless. Mary looked at her. Everything okay? You look flushed. Just exercising. Morning calisthenics. Right. Have you seen Ethan? His bed hasn't been slept in. Ethan. Grace's voice squeaked. Oh, he stayed at Tank's. He called me. Said they were doing guy stuff. Mary sighed. That boy. All right. Thanks, Grace. Mary left. Grace locked the door and slumped against it. Is the coast clear? Ethan's voice came from the bedroom. He walked out, looking sheepish. You owe me, Grace said, pointing a finger at him. Big time. I know. Ethan grinned. Breakfast. You're buying. Deal. And Ethan. Yeah. Grace looked at him. She wanted to ask about the kiss. She wanted to know if he remembered. But looking at his clueless, hungover face, she knew the answer. Get out of my house. Yes, ma'am. Chapter 37. The next morning, the awkwardness had mostly evaporated, replaced by their usual banter. They rode their bikes toward school, the crisp air clearing the last of Ethan's headache. Stop, Grace yelled. Ethan braked. What? You promised. Breakfast tax. She pointed at a convenience store. I want a rocket pop. It's 7:30 in the morning. Did I stutter? Ethan sighed and went inside. He came out with 2 red, white, and blue popsicles. Grace unwrapped hers and took a bite. Breakfast of champions. Ethan watched her. She was eating it with distinct enthusiasm. You got some. He gestured to his lips. What? Never mind.